In this tutorial, I'm breaking down a clean, wearable boy's haircut using simple clipper techniques, scissor work and smooth blending including clipper over comb. Whether you're just sharpening your skills or you've never held a clipper before, there's something here for you. Let's go. This is the head of hair we're starting with. It's quite long on the fringe and long on the sides. So the first thing I'll do is I'm going to pull the hair at the front out of the way. I have a number 3 on my clipper and I'm going to glide up straight up the side of the head without rounding over onto the top. And that means that as I move up with the clipper, the hair is going to get longer. So right around about this line here, I'm starting to leave the head. This is where the head sticks out the most. This is known as the parietal ridge. And when I hit that ridge with the clipper, I want to start losing contact with the head. So an even pressure and then start leaving the head. So you can see I'm in contact with the head, with the guard, and then I glide off up away from the head. This is a great angle again to help you visualize this. And what it's doing is it's blending most of the work in for you. The hair's gradually getting longer because of the curvature of the head. What I've done here is I've moved my model's head forward because I want to flatten out the back of the neck. That will really help you, especially with kids. And I'm going up towards where that ridge would be again and just glide up away from that ridge. That bit at the bottom of the neck, especially with boys, kids' haircuts, there can often be an indentation around the back of the neck there, so it's important to get them to tuck their chin down towards their chest. That's not lean forward, that's tuck the chin down. And then we've got this great surface that we can just glide off. In that indentation, I'm also going to crisscross the area with the clipper just to try and make sure I've caught absolutely everything. And then I can carry on gliding up off the side of the head, working my way around, all the way around towards the front. And you can see this angle here, just straight up off the side of the head. Pull the fringe out of the way, because what we don't want to do is cut any of that fringe with the clipper. There's going to be some scissor skills that I'm going to teach you in this video, but we'll come to that and we'll cut the fringe with the scissors. It's much easier than you think if you're worried about it. This video will explain exactly how to do it. So I'm moving to a 1.5 guard on my clipper now. And this is a C motion, okay? So we're just dealing with this little area down here around what we call the nape of the neck. And I'm just using a C shape. So you can see I'm kind of flicking the clipper out and the guard moves in what you would call a C motion. And the reason I opted for a slightly shorter guard is that I want to create what you would call a taper. So a taper is where it disappears down towards the bottom of the neck. If I move that lever forward, it actually extends the blade a bit more towards what would be a number 2. So I haven't changed the guard, I've just made it a little bit longer. And then if I move up a bit further than I was initially, that blends it into the number 3, which I started this haircut with. And that's about all for the big clipper. Now let's get this little trimmer. And what I'll do is I'll make a straight line from the back of the ear down towards the bottom of the neck. Now, look, I'm going to make this straight. It'll amaze you. There is hair there, and it looks a lot cleaner once you trim it away. You can't always see it. Sometimes it's very light with boys' hair because their hair's soft, they're young, and you can't quite see it. So see how clean it looks all of a sudden once you remove that fluff. What you need to be super careful of when you're using the trimmer is that you don't go inside what you think is the hairline, okay? So look at where the hair density starts to increase. That's the hairline. Outside of that, this stuff that I'm cutting away here, this is neck hair. It's not the head hair, the scalp hair. This is hair from the neck, the fluff. And look, it almost looked like it wasn't there, but when it's gone, it looks so much cleaner. And I'll just take this up a little bit because it leaves a little bit of a tail. Now look at this. This is a taper-shaped blade. And these blades, you can rock them on that little angle. So at the bottom of the neck, this is what this blade is made for. It's to curve out, it makes it easier, a taper-shaped blade. Other blades, very common blades, would be fading blades. In my opinion, a taper blade right now is better because we're getting so many more tapers. It's much more popular, and I love the effect of it. I actually think it takes a lot of skill. On the sides, we'll taper this as well, but only using the little trimmer. And I'm going to use this little corner of my T-blade to just draw around the ear, get that hair off there. And then if I put my comb in and just tilt it out, it's going to make that hair stand on end. Same here at the front. I've got the hook touching the face and the rest of the comb bending away from the face. So that creates a taper as well, because it's getting longer as you move up the side of the head. And get rid of that fluff that you don't think's there, but you notice when it's gone. Pull the hair onto the face and make sure nothing's sticking out onto the face. I think I'll go back to this area here. So, time to get some water onto the hair, and I'm going to cut a strip right down the middle like a mohawk. This is often known technically as a profile guide. We call it a profile guide because it's the profile view of the head, and it's like a mohawk. That's the way to think of it. So if I cut straight across this, what I'm left with is I've got some long hair in front of it, and what I want to do is join it all together. This will give me a guide as I work from the back to the front, and you're going to see that in just a minute. But initially, let's make this profile. So you can see there's some short hair on the right there, and I'll cut to that length. When I get to the front, there's a couple of options. This can actually dictate what shape your haircut's going to be, how the fringe is going to look. Now you can tilt your hand out like that, and then that keeps the front the same length. It would be uniform. But if I tilt my fingers back a little bit, the hair at the fringe is going to be slightly longer there. So I'm protecting the long hair on the fringe. A lot of young kids nowadays, they want to keep the fringe longer. So if you tilt your fingers back, you'll almost not take any length off by doing that. Now if I take sections across the head, I should be able to see right through the middle where that short hair was. So what I'm going to do now is widen my mohawk shape. Okay, and this is going to give us a big area, a big panel on the top of the head that's cut with the scissors and is all down to a uniform length. So there's that little short profile guide, okay? So I'm making it wider now. I'm picking up this hair and I'll cut across there. Now, what we want here is we don't want too much hair in our section. So I draw the hook of the comb and I pick up enough that the comb can handle. I don't want all of the hair on the top of the head in the comb at once. I just want small, manageable sections. So use the hook, take about a comb's worth, pick them up, look for your profile guide in the middle, and cut across. This is actually really simple. I think most people could do it. You watch, pick up, comb goes into the thumb, put the comb in there, hold it, and cut across. And then grab your comb again and move forward to your next section. This is beginner scissor work. If you're just learning scissor work, slow it down a little bit. What I'm doing here is something that you're going to repeat a lot. And there's a pattern to it. There's the short hair again. So I'm following my profile guide, and we've got now this big area from the crown all the way down to the center of the fringe, a broad section that's cut all the way across. And what we need to do is we need to make that even wider again and join it all together. As we get to the front, just look for your profile guide and cut to that. And then later on in the haircut, I'll show you how to get the exact length without making it look like something from Dumb and Dumber. Now, we need to do the right and the left hand side of this now. We've got this lovely section, but where these circles are now, that's where the long hair to the left and the right is going to start. So let's go back to the crown, and on the left hand side of that, look, there's some long hair because our section in the middle wasn't that wide. So we need to actually move over now and start looking for that hair to the side of that. And this is what's gonna cover the whole top of the head. We need to do this both sides of the top of the head. And shout out to channel member, the Barber Yogi, who said, can you make a video fully explaining clipper over comb, please, and thanks. So while in this video it's not a full explanation, I will be doing clipper over comb in the video, and I'm going to explain that for you. That's coming up. So as you get to the front, what we're doing is we're looking for the guideline at the fingertips and just cut to that. okay? Because you don't have a profile section to work to. It's the short hair from the middle of the head, which is at your fingertip. That's what we're looking for. Now that we've covered the center and the left, let's move to the right. We've got this area here that we also need to match in. I would like to know, while you're watching this, if you could tell me what stage are you at and what's the reason that you're cutting hair? Why did you come to this video today? And do you know anyone who would benefit from this video? Is someone going to cut your hair? I think you should share it to them, because it will be a great resource for them if they're going to be cutting your hair, especially if you have a student barber in the family, someone who's trying to learn. This is a great resource for them, so definitely share it with people that you know. And if it's just for you and you're learning, make sure you watch it back a couple of times. So not too much coming off as I get right towards the front. And then we need to start blending in, and that's the area a lot of people have trouble with. What generally happens is, because we've got short hair on the side and short hair on top, we have hair that kind of sticks out and we need to smooth that over. So what we'll do is we'll initially just pull all this hair out to the left. Okay, I'll get my fingers nice and straight. And you see that little hair that's kind of just sticking out? That's what we're looking to take off. And this is the rough part of the blend in at the moment. This is not as refined as it's going to look at the end, you know, after you clip or over comb it, or scissor over comb if you're good with that, if you know how to do that, well done. So I'm just pulling this out and making sure that there's no corner, no major overhang that I need to address. Same on the other side. See that ridge line? I think of it going all the way forwards to the corner of the eye. Okay, that's a shape that's always in my mind when I'm cutting hair. I think when I'm looking at this from the side, I want the fringe to almost come to the corner of the eye, or I'm going to cut to that. And you'll see when I address the fringe later on that I'm thinking of that shape. So I don't want to go any shorter. Even if I was to go forward beyond this hair on the parietal ridge, on this area that sticks out, like onto the forehead, I'd make sure that I pull the hair out far enough sideways that I'm not taking away too much hair, because I really want to deal with that fringe, the bangs, later on in the haircut. At the back, look, we've got this area here that's all bouncy and springy. My client has very straight hair. If I pull that back, you can see, look, we also have a corner on the back. And what we want is we want it nice and smooth, we want a nice smooth shape. Okay, so let's look to take the corner off from here. Make sure you get it going in the right direction first. And there's the corner. Now, again, this is a rough technique. We're only taking down the corner, and you would want to smooth this out with the clipper over comb. So do this first, okay? Get the bulk down first, and then we can neaten it up. To be quite honest, a lot of the time, if you weren't if you didn't have a highly trained barber eye, this would probably be sufficient, okay? But it's good to have the other techniques and other skills that can help you really finish and polish a haircut, and it's worth trying. It's worth learning, okay? If there's things that are outside of your comfort zone when you're cutting hair, just try them, because you have to, at some point, you have to learn it. Now just pick the crown up and just make sure there's no, just a long point. Other than that, I'm happy with the length. Okay, so let's look at the front here. I pull this down and I'm looking at the bridge of the nose, I think. And what I'll do is I'll slide the scissor in underneath the fringe. And I'm going to let it all rest on the spine of the comb and just cut across. Now the comb is straight, so the fringe is going to be straight. And I'll move over to the side of that a little, follow that line along the eyebrow. Now when you dry hair, it does spring up a little bit. It tends to lay flatter when it's wet, flatter and squarer. Okay, that's good. Now remember that line that I was talking about there. So what I want to do is I'm going to just pick up this hair and I'm going to work along that line. That's fine, okay? Same here, okay? Follow the line. I'm thinking of the line down towards the corner of the eye when that hair's dropped, okay? It's probably more the corner of the eyebrow on this occasion, but that's the kind of shape, the curvature from that ridge that goes from the back of the head to the front, and you want to continue it to the hair that is part of the fringe. Let's blast this dry, and then let's talk clipper over comb now. What's happened here is this hair is so long that it bends when the clipper hits it. It bends in different directions, okay? So what we need to do is clipper over comb it, because the clipper comb will grab the hair a little bit better when we put it in. It doesn't slide all over the place, and then we can continue this smooth shape, okay? So what I'm looking for is the short hair that I clippered, okay? And then I want the teeth to kind of stick out at the point where it kind of disappears, okay? And then anything that's in the clipper comb, I can safely remove. Okay, so I'm looking to take away anything that escaped the clipper, and when I took the corner off, there'll be some refining to do. So the whole purpose is that the clipper comb grabs the hair and lifts it up for you, and you know, it raises it to a point that it's easy to clipper over comb. You can go in vertically as well if you want, because it grabs so much hair, the clipper comb. The good thing about the clipper comb as well is that it is as wide as the blade. So these combs are so cheap, and you can find them everywhere, like on Amazon or barber supply stores. You get them you'll get like 3 for very little money at all. Now this is just an added step because I'm going to style this with some clay. I'm chipping into this. What I do is I pick up the hair, point my fingers forward, and then just chip across. You don't need to do this, okay? I'm doing this because my client, who's also my son, by the way, he has very straight hair, and straight hair takes texture so well, okay? But this is maybe what you would call a bit more of an advanced technique. It's just for breaking the hair up a little bit, and great if you're going to apply clay or dust or something along those lines. Okay, real quick. If you're watching this and you're just getting into cutting hair, you need a solid pair of scissors. And these are seriously a great place to start. They're made with a high quality Japanese steel, which basically means they stay sharp longer, and they give you really clean, easy cuts, no tugging or uneven lines. The blades have this special curved edge called a convex edge. So even if you're still learning your technique, it helps make your cuts smoother and more controlled. They are super beginner friendly. They also come with this nice leather zipper case, so you can keep them safe and in top shape when you're not using them. If you're learning to cut hair at home or thinking about going pro, these are a great investment to start with. The link's in the description if you want to check them out. Now back to the video. So I'm using this Insight clay, which was given to me by Connor Evans from Hotheads Media. And all you need to do is just take a little fingertip, just a fingertip, okay? And spread it out on the palm of your hands. That makes like a nice film, okay? We don't want like localized clumps of clay in the hair. You just want to spread it out nice and fine. It doesn't need to be crazy, okay? It's up to you. I just want to ruffle it up a little bit. I want it to be a little bit rough and see some texture. But here's our little taper at the back. Quite happy with that. I think it looks clean, really easy with that clipper. And look at the style. A little bit, it's so simple. Let me know what you think. I'll see you in my next video.